Well, mainstream media is going crazy just trying to tear down Donald Trump while forgetting the very real fact that Donald Trump is ahead in the polls. So here's a sample of mainstream media right now with CNN, guys. Just check it out and you guys let me know what you think.
They're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden.
It's like watching Grumpy Old Man or something. I don't mind attacking a person for their policies or their positions, but he's just sort of griping just because she exists, to your point. And I think we know why he's griping, because she exists. She's a black woman. And everything that I've seen in the course of his career, and I know that he has black women in his circle, and I know he's appointed Omarosa and all of that. I know all of that background. But I also know when he's confronted and being held accountable by black women, time and time again, he is shown to be someone who is uncomfortable in that situation. And I think he's complaining more because it's Kamala Harris, a black woman, than any other factor.
There's nothing that he's saying about her, however, that wasn't actually said by Biden campaign personnel in leaks to the press for months and months before the hot swap unfolded. For literally about 3+ years, you had folks around President Biden who were leaking against, undermining, characterizing Kamala Harris as a disastrous, underprepared.
How do you know this?
Because of extensive reporting, and drawing on White House sources.
How come former President Trump doesn't know this? If you've known for 3 years this woman was coming, and now she's here, and you're confused about what to do.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sufficiently clear. What I'm saying is that what he is saying now, when he is diminishing her capacity and what have you, these were all things that were standard talking points coming from Democrats who were anxious about her weaknesses. Now, only over the last month or so has the narrative entirely changed about this, because the press no longer felt obliged to protect President Biden.
Are you suggesting then this is originating because Donald Trump is following the intel of Democrats, and this is based solely upon the intel of Democrats and not some long-standing representation of how he feels about American people since the 1970s?
Okay, I think what he's suggesting is that this is not just off of what Democrats have said, but Democrats have also said some of the same things Trump has said. And so him saying these things is not something new that no one's ever said before, that she's incompetent. And you can point to the policies. You can look at so many policies throughout this administration that she has to own that will hurt during swing states.
The idea.
By the way, the people there were Los Angeles Times op-ed columnist LZ Granderson. You also had National Review Reen Salem, co-founder and CEO of the Seneca Project, Tara Satmeyer, and Madison Gesiotto, former RNC national spokesperson. Now, honestly, guys, the first thing that came to mind is how it's a miracle that Salem is still a CNN commentator, even though he's kind of opening people's minds about Donald Trump. And what's up with these people trying to pin Donald Trump as a racist when he's just doing the exact same thing that they are? But let me know what you guys think. Now, let me tell you guys, some days I feel like the word racist has officially lost its meaning. At least I don't think criticizing somebody does not automatically mean that they hate them because of their race or their gender. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, can't we have an honest to goodness constructive conversation anymore? Let me tell you guys, it's hard to get to that place when mainstream media is just trying to wedge us apart, especially when they tried to hide the truth from us. Because no matter how much fluff they try to cover up Harris with, no matter how many major events intervene, and goodness knows that there have been several, the state of this year's presidential race doesn't seem to change. Vice President Kamala Harris trails former President Donald Trump by 1 percentage point in the latest Fox News national survey. We're talking 49 to 50%. Last month, she was also behind Trump by 1 point, 48 to 49%, as was President Joe Biden with the same 48 to 49 results. And honestly, guys, these so-called polls, they're not even getting the whole picture. I mean, just look at 2016, 2020. All of them were so off when it came to representing the actual on-the-ground support for President Donald Trump. Don't believe me? Well, here's CNN's very own senior data reporter, Harry Enton, saying the exact same thing. Check this out.
And sort of point out, we've kind of been here before. So August 13th, how far were the polls off in Michigan, Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin? And this is in 2016 and 2020. Trump was estimated both times around and by significant margins. Take a look here. In 2016, the average poll in those states that I mentioned, those Great Lake battleground states, Trump was underestimated by 9 points on average at this point in 2016. How about 2020? It wasn't a one-off. Look at this. He was underestimated by 5 points on average. And of course, Kamala Harris's advantage in those New York Times Siena College polls were 4 points in each of these key battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The bottom line is this. If you have any idea, if you're a Kamala Harris fan and you want to rip open the champagne bottle, pop that cork, do not do it. Donald Trump is very much in this race. If we have a polling shift like we've seen in prior years from now until the final result, Donald Trump would actually win. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I am saying that he is very much in this ballgame based upon where he is right now and compare that to where he was in prior years.
We've certainly heard the Harris campaign saying we have to keep fighting.
Absolutely.
This is definitely not over. All right.
I mean, all the buzz around Kamala Harris now? Really? Now, some would compare it to gaslighting. She was hated for being cringe and incompetent for both parties just a month ago. Remember, she was like the #1 least liked VP in history. So all this noise, you could even consider it straight up propaganda from the mainstream media. MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Time Magazine, all basically running these campaign ads for her at this point. Or at least that's what it feels like, especially with all the polls showing Donald Trump and Kamala Harris almost tied. And the thing that kills me is they'll only survey like 500 people in this small area where they're most likely to get the result that they want. You know, it's very skewed, guys. And it dates all the way back to 2016. So over the past several election cycles, polling organizations have made some major mistakes, and we've all seen it. Even the expert Lona Atkinson, a political scientist who researches election surveys and public opinion, admitted that if you look at some of the biggest misses, they're pretty freaking big. Among the biggest misses that have scarred the polling industry is the 2016 presidential election, when various headlines littered the news claiming that Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton's chances of winning against Republican nominee Donald Trump were around 90%. An industry-wide postmortem identified several key causes of the 2016 polling flop, which I'm going to get into later in this video. But really, the bottom line here, guys, they always underestimate former President Donald Trump, or at least Democrats and their pet media do. And again, this isn't just me talking, guys. Even retired U.S. General Wesley Clark admitted to the dangerous tendency of Democrats to underestimate Donald Trump. Now, according to Clark, here's the thing about Donald Trump. He works very hard. He's very clever. He is charismatic. He can be charming. And so Democrats and people who are on the outside have a tendency to underestimate him because he has misspellings in his tweets and he's very emotional and he doesn't necessarily know anything about policies. And this is the part that really matters, you guys. He does touch a chord in the American public. Did you guys hear that? Trump touches a chord in the American public. And we should get ready because things are about to ramp up, in fact. With Vice President Kamala Harris riding this massive wave heading into next week's Democratic National Convention, former President Donald Trump and his campaign are preparing their counteroffensive as well. A Trump campaign senior advisor who asked to remain anonymous to speak more freely said that the campaign will put a whole cadre of people, including Donald Trump and top surrogates, into the field next week. And you already know we're going to be on top of things as usual, just like we are now with this one. So guys, to make sure you're always updated, hit the subscribe button now, light up the like button. That way YouTube knows what's up and gives you guys our fresh new content as soon as it drops, all right? But hey, don't go anywhere. I got a lot more to share with you guys. I mean, there's no shortage of news to cover. Just between the two Fox surveys in July and August, there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. The Republican National Convention was held. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance was chosen as Donald Trump's running mate. Biden dropped out of the election and endorsed Kamala Harris. She was certified as the Democratic presidential nominee and selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. And they held several campaign events and record-breaking attendance. But see, when it comes down to it, guys, they're not really moving the needle in any kind of meaningful way. The recent poll shows that nearly half, at 45%, think Kamala Harris's positions on the issues are too liberal, and the same number view Donald Trump as too conservative, while roughly equal numbers think each candidate's positions are about right. And people still are not feeling that much better about the economy. Only 28% rate economic conditions positively. Now, sure, that is an improvement from the 19% who felt that way in August 2022, and just 1 point away from where things stood in the early days of Biden's term, when 29% said that the economy was in good shape. But come on, guys, is 29% really the number to aim for? Plus, on the personal level, 43% rate the financial situation positively. The largest number in over 2 years. But that is worse by 10 points compared to Joe Biden's first year at 53% positive. I mean, what we should really be talking about here is the fact that significant majorities continue to give the national economy 73% and their personal financial situation 57% negative ratings. This is horrible. These numbers are really the ones that matter right now, and the economy is clearly the top priority for voters, guys. 38% of people are saying it will be the single most important issue in the vote for the presidency this 2024. Next comes immigration and abortion, tied at 14% each, with all other issues tested in the single digits. And guess what, guys? I really don't think it comes as a surprise to us here in our community that by a 6-point margin, more and more voters trust Donald Trump to handle the economy more than Harris. He had double-digit leads over Biden in the economy in 3 of the last 4 Fox News surveys. Voters also give Donald Trump the nod on handling border security by 19 points, immigration plus 14, foreign policy plus 7, and crime plus 5. And remember, guys, they're still not talking about the very real fact that historically, these polls have always underestimated Donald Trump in a big way. They even tried correcting for this last time, but still, when the actual 2020 election rolled around, polls yielded the highest error margins in 40 years. Again, underestimating Donald Trump's support. As retired U.S. General Wesley Clark pointed out in a recent podcast, Trump is not to be underestimated as a politician. In that very same interview, Clark was asked about Donald Trump's appeal to military veterans and voters. He said Trump comes in with an advantage for the veterans vote simply because he's masculine. He talks tough, and so a certain number of people are gonna like that. And things are about to get a whole lot more interesting, guys, as according to a Trump campaign senior advisor, they're certainly gonna have key people in the battlegrounds and available to the media to counter program while the Democratic National Convention is happening next week. In fact, they've already let one of their names slip. Republican National Committee Chair Michael Wadley. And according to Donald Trump, he's competing a lot and added that he would further pick up the pace after their convention. Their plans focus even more on branding their ultra-liberal and spotlighting her stance on the border, crime, and inflation. And you gotta see the campaign stops. I swear, Trump is like a racehorse with his stamina. North Carolina, Pennsylvania, that's just in 1 week. His running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, is holding campaign events too in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Trump even returned to X, formerly known as Twitter, where he posted a series of campaign videos leading up to his interview hours later with Elon Musk, who officially endorsed the former president before this. And according to Donald Trump's campaign, the former president's return to X isn't a one-off this time around. A Trump campaign senior advisor emphasized that moving forward, they're going to continue to see a lot of alternative platform work. They promised Trump on X talking to millions of people. You'll see him on all kinds of conversational podcasts and streams coming up for the rest of the campaign. And he'll still be doing, as he always does, press availabilities, and he will obviously be, keep doing rallies and special large audience events. As one of his campaign advisors said, whether it's on X or any of these other things, the president is unafraid of having unscripted conversations about the issues that matter in stark contrast to Kamala Harris. I mean, you could see the impact with just one interview. Even with the technical difficulties, which delayed the interview with Elon Musk for over 40 minutes, Donald Trump gained over 900,000 new followers on X as of Monday night. Dan Eberhard commented on this. He's an oil and drilling chief executive office, aka CEO, and a prominent Republican donator and bundler who raises big bucks for Donald Trump's 2020 re-election campaign and who is supporting Donald Trump again after backing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in the GOP presidential primaries. Eberhard put it this way: Trump, the man, is the campaign's best asset. Put him out there. He said immediately after the Democratic convention closes, he would like to see the gloves come off and a full-throated campaign for Trump. Now, what do you guys think? Are you ready for things to ramp up next week? I mean, I sure am. Just make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel and have your notification bell turned on so you do not miss out on any of the action. Now, speaking of, I got another video for you guys to check out. It's about CNN getting called out for trying to persuade America with some fake Kamala Harris footage. I mean, guys, you got to check it out to see the J.D. Vance takedown of CNN host Dana Bash. I know, just brilliant must-watch stuff, you guys. And hey, anyway, thank you so much for liking the video. Thank you for sharing this video and for subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.